Hello, good evening. Welcome to Dave's Tackle Box. It's Sunday the 25th of November 2012. Yes, it's a month till Christmas, but don't panic. It's all cool. I'm going to start tonight's show by just a little a shout out to those of you who might be affected by the weather on our little island tonight. It's not been too bad here, but I've seen lots of stuff on the news of people being underwater, so hopefully you're not being affected too badly. On tonight's show, I've got a bit of a mixed bag tonight. More mixed than normal, really. I'm going to be, as I promised last week, I'm going to be taking a proper look at the elips-C. Because my atomiser's arrived, and so did the charging case, so we're going to have a proper look at that. I'm also going to be showing a little bit of footage on what goes into making a VT for this show. We do get contacted fairly regularly by people wanting to know if they can get involved in a show and what have you and making VTs. And this is something I filmed a little while back, but it's still very valid and just shows you sort of what a typical show preparation involves for anybody that's interested. On Monday, was it Monday? Yeah, it seems like a long time ago now. The first part of Gary Dibley's Children in Need fundraising came to fruition as I won his auction for Stunty. Now, Gary, being Gary, generous soul that he is, didn't just send me the stunt wrench, the main star of Tin Your Tip. To be honest with you, I think Tin Your Tip's probably finished now that Stunty's left. But oh god, Gary might be watching this, so I'll shut up now. But Stunty arrived here on Friday, early on Friday morning, and I know a lot of people are quite keen to understand what the stunt wrench is going to be doing. So I've put together a little piece just to show you what Gary sent me, a little hint to what might be coming in some future shows, and just a little piece that I call What Stunty Did Next. It's got kind of classical sort of flavour to it, but we'll be looking at that a bit later. And assuming he sort of resurfaces, we may be even joined by Gary to talk about how his fundraising's going towards the end of the show. I'm going to mention just briefly, just what I can, a little bit about Vapex 2013, because you probably can't fail to have missed some of the ads and the discussion that's going around on the internet about it. Now, that's not the last time you're going to see that video. It might not even be the last time tonight. But I'll give you a little bit, share with you what we know about the event a little bit later in the show, just to touch on that. But I think probably what we should do is get this show on the road. Now, you regular watchers will know that myself and the Hi-Fi Stud, Dave Dawn, took a flight over to Ireland a couple of months ago. For Vapefest Ireland, where we met the representatives from Ovale, Ireland, and they gave me an elips kit, and in fact I have one of them in front of me here. This is an elips. It's a little itty bitty thing, and I was quite taken with it. Using it in a certain way, it worked quite well for me, and I actually did transmit a review of this thing on this show about a month ago now. But when I went to go and check the pricing information, on the Ovale Island website, they weren't there, they're gone. So I contacted them and said I wanted to include, the cost of this stuff in my review, and they said, oh no, it's been replaced by the elips-C, the one with the replaceable atomizer head. So would you like us to send one to review for the VTTV use? And I said, yes, please do. And the fact of the matter is we're a bit of ahead of the curve on this one. So it took me a little while to actually source the replacement atomizer heads, because I've been hammering the things. I'm using them quite a lot. And the thing that I was waiting on for quite a while is the PCC, the personal charging case, which still isn't available on the Ovale Island website, but I've got one. So you're going to get, probably, this may be a scoop, this may be an exclusive. But let's have a look at the elips-C. Hi, I'm Dave, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the Ovale elips Type C. Let's have a little look at what you get, and then we can have a look and see how it works. Now, in the box you get two complete electronic cigarettes, two ellipses. You get a choice of black. This is the old model, but the colour is the same, I believe. With the newer ones, the elips-C, I got the stainless steel, which is like a brushed stainless steel finish. These are assembled because I've been using them. I'm going to show you the component parts in a minute and how to put them together. It came with a couple of replaceable atomizer coils, which are obviously in there. You get a charging cable, a European plug adapter, and then in here you got some spare e-liquid tanks with little rubber condom caps on the end. You get these things, and these are like mouthpieces. I'll get one out and I'll show you what they do. Once your e-cig is assembled, you can put these over the end, and I think the idea is if you want to get somebody else to let somebody else try it, it's a hygienic way of doing it. You can buy all of these accessories from ovaleisland.com's website. So far I haven't found a UK supplier for these. That might be because I haven't tried hard enough, but I've just ordered my spares, my replacement atomizers from Ovale Island. With the express postage, it arrived in a couple of days. There's also a manual telling you all about how to use it, with some pictures and fairly sort of standard stuff, showing you how to refill it, charge it and what have you. The other thing that's missing from here is the charging cable, which I have connected to a powered USB hub in that direction, sort of proprietary to the elips. You plug it in the bottom there to charge a battery. Red light stays on until it's charged. When the red light goes off, it's fully charged. So these two elips-Cs here, I received them, must have been about a month ago, and I've been using them since. The atomizers are barely functional at this stage, and for one reason and another I've only just got around to ordering some replacements, because I'm using these on a daily basis. And as I've mentioned before on VTTV and in my reviews, I do a lot of flying and I work away from home, and I work in a client's office, and I find that these suit my purpose. I'll explain how I make such a small device work for me a little bit later in this video. But for now, suffice it to say that the performance isn't what it was when I started using them, because the atomizers need replacing. So I ordered some more atomizers from Ovale Island. Here they are. 5 of these cost me €30, €29.99. So they're not the cheapest, I guess. That's what, €6 a piece. Now that said, I've made 2 of them last me a month. I should have changed these 2 weeks ago at least. But the reason I've decided to order these and replace them and continue using them is because they're really working well for me. As I say, I'll explain how later. Now, when you first get your ellipse out of the box, when it arrives, there are basically 5 component parts that you need to be worried about. The first one is the battery with its button. There's this little collar thing. I'm calling it a collar. I'm not sure if it's got a proper name, but it's basically an atomizer housing, and into there we're going to drop the atomizer itself. You get the top mouthpiece, which also serves as the top cap, and you will get a plastic tank. So I'm just going to remove the bottom off that so it's ready to use. That's an empty tank waiting to be filled with e-liquid. Now, to put it together, first thing you need to do is remove one of the atomizers. There are 2 supplied in the starter kit. I've bought 5 replacements, and I don't know why, but I always find that it's much more difficult to remove these from the pack than it probably should be, but there you go. So this is what your atomizer coil looks like. Everything's in there. When your atomizer starts wimping off and it needs replacing, you basically just have to pull this bit out and chuck it and replace with a new one. As I say, I should have done this some time ago, in truth. Now, first thing you got to do is drop the atomizer into the top of the battery like that. It's really easy. You just sort of drop it in there. Done. To hold it in place, you take the collar, and you'll notice that there's a slotted part to this that lines up with what's on the battery there. So what you do is you put it over the top of the atomizer like that, and then turn it, and it'll click to lock it into place. Drop it on, twist to lock it into place. That's it. That's the atomizer built. Now, to get it ready to use, all we need to do is to put some juice into this tank, and what I'm going to be using here is some 45 milligram juice, which may sound like rather a lot to some people, but I'm going to explain how this all works for me very soon. So I filled the tank up to a tiny little fraction below the top there. I just find with any of these tank systems that if there's a little bit of air inside, then they do seem to wick better. If you fill them right to the top, sometimes it takes a little while for the liquid to wick down. So I'm convinced a little bit of air left at the top will allow it to wick better. So that's what I do. Now, once I've done that, keeping the tank the right way up, I push the atomizer that we saw with the spike on the top, so it goes through the hole in the bottom of the tank, and that should push quite comfortably, quite solidly into place. Like that. Then all I've got to do is replace the cap. Just a word on the caps. With the original type black kit that I got, there were 2 mouthpiece types. There was this one which they call the flat tip, and then there's another one which was much more rounded, which I didn't like, to be honest with you. I preferred the flat tip like these. In this kit that I got, they're both flat tip. Unlike the earlier version, the elips-C has the 5-click on and off, so you can press this button 5 times. It'll flash a few times to let you know it's heard you, and that disables the battery if you want to carry it around in your pocket without the risk of it firing. To turn it back on, 5 clicks again. And there we go, that's now working. So this is the elips-C PCC, or personal charging case. Personal charging cases aren't a new idea, but I have to say this one, with its shape and and ease of use is one of the better PCCs I've seen. Now, the basic principle is that you connect this to your power supply and charge it up until you get 3 red lights constantly on when you press that button. So the red lights here on the right as you look at it show you the charge that's stored in the PCC. I can then use that battery's charge that's stored in there to charge my Elips. And one of the reasons I like this charging case is you don't have to detach your atomizer or anything like that you did with some of those other PCCs, or unscrew the battery and screw it in or anything like that. To put this battery on charge, all I've got to do is drop it into place and push it down. And you can see that it's telling me that it's charging the battery by that little light display that you saw there. I can see that again by pressing the button. That tells me it's charging. I can put the cap on, and this is what I do. I put that in my bag while I'm using the other one, and if the battery should run short on me before the end of the day, and it does happen from time to time, I can just swap them over. Take this one out when it's full, drop the other one in. One nice little feature with the charging case is in the lid there you can see there's a little contraption built into the top which I can use to store a spare tank. So if I'm saying that one of these with a full tank gives me the better part of a day of vaping, in here I've got another day's worth of vaping. Obviously if I'm using a lower strength juice, I won't. Interesting note, if you've got the original PCC, this is the version 1 if you like, they are actually slightly smaller. So I'm told, and I haven't tried this yet, you can't get an elips-C. It will work, but apparently you can't get the cap on. Yeah, that's a good description. So if you'd have told me 6 months ago that I would be able to get through a day on a single 360 milliamp hour battery with a 1.4 milliliter tank of juice, I would have laughed in your face. But the reality is I am doing. As I mentioned briefly at the beginning, I do a lot of travelling. I have to be quite stealthy when I use my e-cig at times. And these, form factor wise, are brilliant. You know, they can disappear in your top pocket. They're easy to conceal when you're using them. But it's only actually really viable for me for one reason, and that reason is that I'm using 45 milligram juice. That's 4.5%. That's really strong juice compared to what most people would use, and I used myself up until maybe 6 months ago. And by using this strong juice, I find that my habit when I'm using this is totally different to when I'm using a big desk mod with 24 or 25 milligram juice in it. I'm using this a bit like I used to smoke cigarettes, because you get so much hit and satisfaction and so much nicotine in a short vaping session that basically you literally can just take a few puffs and put it back in your pocket and forget about it for a while. A lot of people maintain that vaping is an enjoyable experience, and I would agree with them, and when I'm sitting at home I tend to use a big mod with a lower strength juice. But when practicality is an issue, with the right juice in it, these things are really, really viable, and I've proved it to myself over the last couple of months. I've used this for a month, and I used the original Elips prior to that, and they're getting me through. Now the elips-C starter kit is priced at €99.99, That's going to be somewhere in the mid £80. It is not a cheap kit, but I have to say, for me, it would be worth that. I'm finding that these perform a little bit better. I'm getting better flavour than I did off the original one. I know I'm making big play of the fact that it's only viable because I'm using a really strong juice in there. I think this probably just would not be viable for me if I wasn't using such a strong juice. I'm sure of that, because I normally get through something more like 1,000 milliamp hour battery in a day, not a 360. So I'm using about a third as much juice and a third as much battery power, obviously, than I used to do. But if you're you know, what I would call a light user, and I guess I am now using this stuff, then it's perfectly functional. It looks nice. I think it looks great, to be honest with you. It feels solid. I mean, it's this brush metal finish, but the black one, assuming the finish on the elips-C is the same as the original one that I got, then that's nice too. It feels, you know, it's a nice black cover, and it's not like one of these cheap painted batteries that you sometimes see. It comes at quite a price. You know, we're talking about more money here than most e-cig kits and stuff like that. So I think it is a bit of an outlay, but as I say, personally, I think it would be worth it because it's getting me through. The replacing the atomizers at €6 a go, as opposed to the €18 that the old ones cost, is a step in the right direction too. So if you're a user of the original Elips, once you're over the initial purchase cost, then you know, there's some economies to be had back in the months to come. But I'm going to continue to use it because it pretty much, like I say, using this juice, it's pretty much as though somebody designed it for exactly my patterns and my habits. It really is. It's just solved a lot of problems. You could argue that most devices would be just as effective using the same juice, and you're probably right, but because I can get away with using such a small battery that's so indiscreet, it's solid, it stands up to the rigours of being thrown in and out my pocket and my bag. I'm continually dropping the thing and it's not done any, you know, it still works. I like it. So anyway, I hope you found that useful. I know with a lot of these sort of vaping reviews, people can be very dismissive of these little devices. Here's one that I don't think you should dismiss. Simple as that. So thank you for watching.
Sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.
evening. Took a little while to get things lined up and ready to go. But I'm here now, so welcome to Let's Talk Box.
So there we go, I'm back in the room and not long to go now. So yeah, I was talking to my son and he's watched me make things before.
At VTTV tells us tonight, being Wednesday night, it is time for the one and only chat show programme called VT Talk. Yes, it is the Haze Hour. Again, Keith was just saying if it wasn't for the titles, he wouldn't come and do the show. He loves them so much, doesn't he? Alright.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.
Right, just before we go any further, a couple of points of note. I've just noticed in the chat room there during this live broadcast that Midge Dog has just celebrated his first year of being tobacco free thanks to vaping. So happy anniversary, Midge Dog. Well done, mate. So, and may there be many more. Another thing that I want to mention, and I've got to make sure I sort of point in the right direction now. It's going to be, I think, that way. I'm not really sure. Yeah, that way. In the bottom corner of the screen, there's something, there's a little number. It might say 360 or 480 or 720. If you click that, you can change the resolution that you're watching this live broadcast at. Very soon, the Justin TV branding will be going. They're working on that, and there'll be no pop-up ads to irritate you during our wonderful broadcasts. So I just thought I'd mention that. So we have started the process of moving properly to Justin TV. I hope it makes the experience a little bit better. Now, I'm running behind as usual, so I'm going to really have to pick up the pace here. This is a little video I put together some time ago. It's just a little insight into what goes on when we're putting together these VTs and stuff for the live shows. It's called Making Of. It's kind of a day in the life of, or a Sunday in the life of. Have a watch. Right, it's Dave, and it's 10 to 12 midday on Sunday the 29th of April, and as has become the norm lately, you catch me sort of near the beginning of the process of filming a couple of VTs for tonight's Dave's Tackle Box show. I thought it might be just vaguely interesting for people. If you're thinking of having a go at this broadcasting malarkey, to see the kind of things that go on. So what I've just done, I've just filmed two VTs. I'm not going to tell you what they are because that'd spoil the surprise. But I'm thinking at the moment, because I'm planning how the show's going to go tonight in my head. I won't be doing much else today between now and 9 o'clock when we actually broadcast the show, apart from maybe have to take my son to football. But what I thought I'd do is just show you just a rough idea of what goes into making these things, because I just thought some people might be interested, because people do ask from time to time. So what I've got here, I'm obviously talking to camera one. Which is a Panasonic something or other. It's quite a big camera, and it's got a whacking great boom mic on it, and I use that for the face shots, mostly because it deals with light conditions far better than any other camera I've got, and because it takes the big shotgun mic for the sound quality. The close-up shots, I'm using this little thing, which is a little diddy Panasonic camera that I picked up for well under 200 quid a while ago on a GorillaPod. I sit that on the windowsill, and that looks at what my hands are doing, whilst I occasionally look up to the camera and go, this is rubbish, or this is great. So what I've got now is I've got two lengths of recorded video, one on each camera, and the next thing I have to do now is mix them together, and that's kind of where we're at. So I'll shove this camera out the way. In fact, just before I do anything, I'll take a picture of the camera I'm talking to at the moment. It could be kind of trippy when I do it back. Well, there's the big Panasonic sitting on a nice Manfrotto tripod with the Rude shotgun mic silhouetted against the windowsill. One thing I've learned is I've got two massive lights going on up there, but there's no substitute for daylight, I've learned. So I've got two little SD cards now, one in the camera I'm talking to and one here, which I can feed into my PC and start the editing process, which is the time consuming bit. The filming, always done in an hour. The editing, it's probably going to take me 4 hours. So that's why I'm normally looking a little bit stressed by the time we get to showtime. Now this particular clip is going to be about the BritVape's VV Tube mod. So I'm importing the footage from camera 2 at the moment, and I'm going to have to knock camera 1 off while I grab the footage from that, but then I'll put it back on, I promise. Okay, so once all the data is on the computer, I load it into a piece of software called Magic's Movie Edit Pro MX Premium, which is a bought video editing package. And the reason I like this one is it makes doing multi-camera stuff quite simple. Well, I've completed the first edit now on this particular video, which means that I've now got one video with the two different camera angles cutting between each camera view pretty much where I want it to be. So the next thing for me to do now is go and trim out all of the mistakes and swear words and where I've got my tongue twisted and so on. This is also where I try and cut it down to a manageable length if I've waffled on and on and on and on about something. So this bit takes a little while, so off we go again. Right, the time is currently 5:05, so it's getting a little bit close for comfort, and I'm currently just coming to the end of editing the second video now before I can go and get stuff rendering, probably while I get something to eat. So the next step now is to do the intros, overlay any music, but we basically got a coherent video at the moment. We just need to fill up the spaces. I've done some overlays with URLs for things that I'm referring to, and a couple of graphics. Next comes like the fancy bits at the beginning and the end, so on with that. Right, well, what I'm doing now is I have one of the videos rendered, and I'm just watching it back and make sure there's no glaring errors in it, or bad edits, or things that I meant to cut out and didn't. But we're getting close now, so fingers crossed we'll be there in time for 9 o'clock. Time now is 7:15, so we're starting to get into scary time, but I think I've just about got time to film this. I've mostly edited it. It's a very rough edit, this little VT that you're watching now. And it just needed a little ending to it, just 20 seconds, 30 seconds or something. So here it is. It looks like I made it. I've got 3 completed VTs, which is not going to leave time for much else on tonight's show. But hopefully that gave you a little insight into the average Sunday in the Dave K household. See you back in the studio in a minute. And here I am, but of course I'm not going to be showing that video because it was referring to something old, but the process is still valid. Now, at this point in tonight's show, the intention was that I was going to show you that Vapex 2013 video again and then talk to you a little bit about it, but I'm running so far behind that we're not going to show the video at all. So very, very briefly, you've seen the video if you were tuned in on time, and it's on YouTube and it's on a couple of forums and there's much discussion going. You'll have figured out by now that Vapex 2013 is going to be what we expect to be the world's largest electronic cigarette exposition. It's effectively being run by people who are involved with Vapor Trails TV, but it's not being run by Vapor Trails TV. Many of the faces that involved in organising it, though, will be familiar to you. It's being run as a proper pucker business. We think it's going to be absolutely immense. It's the 19th of October at the Telford International Centre, or the International Centre at Telford. 19th of October 2013, that is. We're planning on having anybody who's anybody there. We're going to be providing a platform for the UK modders. We're going to have overseas visitors, both vendors, manufacturers, people you recognise from the internet are coming to visit. It's going to be a great day out. There's a lot of final details to be sorted out, and literally every day that goes by another part of the contract becomes agreed. We think it's going to be great. We're telling you about it now so you don't book your holidays on the 19th of October. Just VTTV will keep you informed of what's going along, and there'll be a website launch fairly shortly. It's time to take another break, and then we're going to look at what Stunty did next.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.
The GG, because you want one.
iVapor and iVapor Elixir, based in Yorkshire, for your e-cig needs. That's ivapor.co.uk and ivapor-elixir.co.uk. iVapor and ivapor-elixir.co.uk, proud sponsors of vaportrails.tv. If you can't watch our shows live, try some of these. Go to YouTube at youtube.com/user/vaportrailstv and you can subscribe there. All of our shows are uploaded as soon as possible after they've gone out live. Enjoy watching it on YouTube. Lots of people do. Alternatively, go to Google and type in podcast vaportrails.tv and iTunes. Click on the link and that will take you to a page that shows you the Vapor Trails TV podcast. View it in iTunes, and when you get to iTunes, don't forget to click on subscribe free, and each of the shows will be downloaded to your hard drive as soon as they come out. Or you can use video on demand. Go to www.vaportrails.tv, click on vPlayer, pick the show you want to watch, in this case it's the Haze Hour, and then you can pick the episode that you want to watch from every one that we've ever done. They're all there. Under normal circumstances you'll watch it at 360p, which means everybody can see it. It'll go full screen, you can do whatever you want with it. So there you go, 3 ways that you can watch vaportrails.tv. Subscribe and enjoy. Thanks.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.
Now, I think I've just about caught up time-wise. We'll soon find out. This next VT, right, if you watch Tin Your Tip with Gary Dibley and Mark Jones on a Monday night at 9 o'clock on Vapor Trails TV, you'll understand this. If not, why not get yourself to our video on demand section. Use the vPlayer and catch up on the last few weeks' episodes. It's good stuff. Suffice it to say, I won an auction to win the stunt wrench. It arrived on Friday. The TNT man brought me a big box. Let's pick up the story from there. Okay, in the big box was this big box which has been artistically inscribed by Mr. Dibley with the Vapor Trails TV logo, and it says beware stunt wrench inside. Excellent. Let's see what else is in here. Oh my word. Okay. We've got a project box. Let's try and keep everything where it can be seen. There's a project box. A mini pipe. Nasal hair trimmer. Sponge for a soldering iron. It's like the Generation game. Ooh. A partially constructed variable voltage tin mod, which seems to be largely complete except for the 510 connector. Cool. Screwdriver, wire cutters, small cutters, springy pliers, needle nose pliers, a tin with some mincing. It has no button. Oh right, okay, we've got a soldering station. Cool. Another partially constructed mod. In fact, that's currently just a battery box with a couple of wires attached. A sub-miniature push-to-make switch. Or the battery box. A torch. Ooh, a selection of buttons. Some red wire. Some black wire. Some solder. Countersinker. Battery holders. A reamer. A file. An extremely long torch. A hammer. Oops. Another battery holder. And wait for it. Stunty. He's been gagged and blindfolded for the journey. I don't think he's breathing. I think we need to sort Stunty out. Right, I'm just taking a closer look at this bag of switches and stuff that Gary sent along. And we've got some kind of circuit board in there. I'm going to need to ask him what that actually does. Various resistors. 510 connectors. Some pretty hefty switches. All sorts of colours. Oh, that's a good one. Look at that one. Like that one. And LEDs. I would appear to have everything you need to make a mod. I see a project coming on. Thanks, Gary. And look who I found. Now, Gary didn't know that was coming.
I didn't.
So,
I've still got to go change my pants now.
Did you enjoy that? I'm glad.
No, that was good. Mate, if I knew you could do with that wrench, I would not have.
I told you I'd get my money's worth out of it, didn't I?
Absolutely.
Seemed to go down fairly well in chat, so yeah.
I'll tell you what. Brilliant. Was good.
And of course, I'm sure I'll be using him in his former capacity if I can get him to, if I can find him. Last time I saw him, he'd packed a case, went out the door, screaming something about Dibley and abuse and never working in TV again, and that was that. So, but if I find him, I'm sure I'll utilise him again.
I'm sure you will. Yeah.
Anyway, Gary, as you know, we're a little bit short of time here.
Yes.
You've got, I'd say you've got about 3-4 minutes, 3.5 minutes, something like that. During which time you can tell us how's it going with your children in need appeal.
It's going well. I must say though, you did sound like my wife then when I go to bed, but that's fine. It's going really, really, really well. We are, I think, about £70 short of raising £1,000, and on top of that, we've got the gift aid, which is going to be round about £250. So we are absolutely steaming. And next Monday is going to be the show where we draw the raffle, etc. So it's brilliant. If I
so that's during your show next Monday at 9 p.m.
It is.
Yeah.
I think that may well be the show, because to draw 10 lots live is going to take I may even put a time or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm gonna probably turn off after I've won the Gold Cobra, to be honest. But
I keep fondling that. I can't stop fondling the Gold Cobra.
You're starting
amazing.
to put me off now.
See that, mate? In the flesh, it is good.
Okay, 2 questions for you then. When do you close the entries?
Okay, 2nd of December at midday.
Right, so that's Sunday midday is the last time anybody can buy tickets. And how do they buy tickets?
Buy tickets by going to the UKV forum. Go to you're going to have to help me here a little bit, competitions and charity things. Yeah. And there's a big thread. I think it's been very kindly pinned, which gives all the instructions on how you can
it does.
enter the draw.
I can check that for you. That's ukvapors.org. And I can find the actual forum for you. It's called Competitions and Charity Fundraisers, which sounds like a good place to put it, really, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
And the thread is indeed stickied at the top of that. So that's ukvapors.org, and then the Competitions and Charity Fundraisers Forum. It's a thread started by Gary Dibley. You can't miss it. How much are the tickets?
It's £5 for 1 ticket, £10 for 3, £20 for 5, and for that, I guarantee anybody that wins is going to get more than the ticket value.
Yes, we just played your trailer just as I was dialing you in. There's no shortage of goodies there, is there?
No, mate. I mean, we've got a Pravari Mini. There's loads of stuff. My wife keeps saying, when have we got to post this? It's like, well, next week, love. You'll be fine.
You're tripping over the stuff. Right, well, just flicking back to the box that you sent me, and it's under here, and I won't lift it up because it will totally ruin the green screen effect. There's a lot of stuff in there, so I've got to say thanks to you for that, because I was only bidding for the wrench, obviously. So I do feel that I've got kind of an obligation now to try my hand at this. So I'll be pestering you with stupid questions in the weeks to come, I would think. Myself, I've got 4 weeks of work left. There's no Dave's Tackle Box next week, incidentally, because I'll be in Munich for the weekend. Then there'll be probably 2 more shows before Christmas. And then I'll be sort of unemployed, but not really unemployed. I'm not looking for work or anything like that for a while, and I intend to have a good go at this. So Gary, we have run out of time. I'd like to say thanks to everybody that's watching tonight. Gary, keep up the good work. It's wonderful stuff. Say good night to everybody.
Good night, everybody. And Dave, thank you. That video made it for me. I'd say that was brilliant.
I'll send you the clip over. Good night, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Good night.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.